She was born blind, but somehow she taught the world how to truly see. And you, are you really seeing? Or just walking through life with your eyes wide shut? In a remote mountain village veiled in mist and silence, there lived a girl named Elira. She had been blind since birth. Her world was shadows and whispers, the texture of cold stone beneath her feet, and the sound of leaves trembling in the wind. She never knew the color of the sky. She never saw the faces of those who pitied or feared her. People said her blindness was karma, that in a past life she must have turned her back on those in need. And now the universe had turned its back on her. Her parents had abandoned her at the age of 3. No one ever explained why. An old healer, poor and childless, found her crying by the roadside and took her in. She gave her food, a place to sleep, and little else. Love, Elira learned, was something she would have to find on her own. By the time she was 10, Elira understood the world wasn't made for someone like her. Children whispered that she was cursed. Adults grew quiet when she passed by. Every step she took felt like walking through a world where she existed, but did not belong. The wounds didn't bleed, but they never healed. Each morning she sat beneath a gnarled tree just outside the village. It was her only sanctuary, a place where no one came, where she could cry without anyone pretending not to notice. She traced the patterns of bark with her fingers, listening to the wind whisper secrets she could never quite understand. Inside, a fire burned, not of passion, but of pain. A slow, smoldering anger at the world, at the gods, at her own helplessness. One day a wandering monk arrived in the village. He was old, wrapped in dusty robes, and carried nothing but a wooden staff and a gentle smile. Some mocked him, others ignored him. But the monk only bowed, offering blessings to even those who scorned him. Elira heard villagers say he had healed a man who had been deaf for 2 decades. Others called it nonsense. Still, that night, the words haunted her. What if? The next morning, heart pounding, Elira waited on the edge of the village where she had last heard his voice. When she sensed his steps again, she stepped forward and said, "I heard you can help people see. Can you help me?" The monk paused, then replied softly, "What is it you wish to see, child?" "Everything," she snapped. "I want to see like everyone else. I want to know what light looks like." The monk crouched beside her, his voice like wind through the trees. "Many who see with their eyes are blind in their hearts. Perhaps you already see more than you know." "Don't speak in riddles," she hissed. "Just tell me, can you fix me or not?" He did not answer immediately. Then he said, "I cannot give you sight, but I can teach you how to see." "Then why should I follow you?" "Because you're already lost," he said, "and sometimes the lost must walk a new path to be found." He told her of a small temple at the edge of Dawnridge Forest. "If you truly wish to see," he said, "come find me there." Elira hesitated. She had never left the village. She had no map, no companion. But something in his voice, something soft but firm, moved her. She felt it like warmth in her chest, a crack of light breaking through. 3 days later, bruised, tired, and angry, she arrived at the temple. The monk welcomed her with silence and a bowl of warm rice. For days he asked nothing of her. Then one morning he said, "To learn to see, you must unlearn your anger." She scoffed. "You think I chose to suffer?" "No," he said calmly, "but you chose to let suffering define you." She wanted to scream, but deep down she knew. He wasn't wrong. Each day he taught her to sit in silence, to listen to the wind, to feel the earth beneath her toes, to notice how each moment left a trace. See not with your eyes, he said, but with your awareness. But her rage remained. I hate them, she confessed one night. My parents, the ones who mocked me, the people who made me feel like a burden. And what has that hatred brought you? He asked. It's the only thing that makes me strong. No, he said gently. It's the only thing that keeps you chained. She trembled. If I let go, what's left? Peace, he said, and the freedom to begin again. But why me? She whispered. Why was I born this way? Perhaps it is not punishment, he replied. Perhaps it is your path to awakening. Karma, she said bitterly. So this is what I deserve. Karma is not justice, the monk said. It is echo. It is cause and effect. What we receive is not always a mirror of what we did, but always a lesson we must learn. And what is the lesson? She asked. He placed his hand gently over her heart. To open this eye, he said, the one no blindness can touch. For the first time in her life, Elira felt something stir inside her that wasn't anger. It wasn't joy either. It was stillness. And in that stillness, the shadow inside her began to soften. The wind brushed against her face, and for the first time, it didn't feel cold. Time passed slowly at the temple. Elira no longer measured days by light or shadow, but by the rhythm of her breath and the songs of birds that visited at dawn. The old monk gave her no promises, no magic, no easy truths. Instead, he gave her presence. Each morning she walked barefoot across the stone path, guided only by the monk's quiet voice. She learned to listen, not just to sounds, but to what was behind them, the stillness between two breezes, the trembling in her own heartbeat when thoughts of the past returned. One day the monk asked her, "Do you know the difference between seeing and looking?" She frowned. "I don't know, I've never done either." "You've never looked," he agreed, "but you've begun to see." Elira still didn't know what that meant, but she knew something had shifted. Her anger, once sharp and alive, was now like an old wound, aching, but no longer screaming. Then, one afternoon, a traveling healer arrived at the temple with herbs for the monks. As Elira listened to the man speak, something in his voice stirred a memory she had buried deep. A name, a village, a story. Later that night, the monk found her sitting alone beneath the Bodhi tree. "I remembered something," she said quietly. The monk waited. "My father, his name was Thalen. My mother used to whisper it in her sleep before she left me. He wasn't just cruel, he was feared. People said he used to beat her until she ran." The monk said nothing. Elira continued. "The healer today, he spoke of a beggar in a nearby village. Said the man wanders the market asking for food, with scars across his hands. Said he once had a daughter, that he lost her." Her throat tightened. "I think it's him." The monk finally spoke. "What do you feel?" "Anger," she said. "Do you still carry it?" "I don't want to," she whispered. "Then leave it here and go." "Go?" she echoed. "Go find him." The journey was short, but her heart felt heavy with every step. The village was crowded, noisy. Elira stood near the market, listening to voices rise and fall like waves. Then she heard him. A rough voice, asking for food, coughing between words, feet dragging on stone. She walked toward it. "Sir," she said. He stopped. "I have some rice if you're hungry." He hesitated, then stepped forward. His hands were trembling as he took the bowl. "You're kind," he said softly. "Most people, they don't look at me. They say I deserve this life. Maybe they're right." Elira stood frozen. He continued,
I had a daughter once. Left her behind when she was little. I was a drunk, a coward. Never saw her again. Every day I wake up, I wonder if she's still alive. If she hates me. Tears welled in Elira's blind eyes. I think she must, he said, and I wouldn't blame her. Elira whispered, maybe she doesn't. The man sat down on the ground, the bowl in his lap. If I could see her again, I wouldn't ask her to forgive me, just to know I'm sorry. She didn't speak, didn't tell him who she was. She only placed a small folded cloth in his hand. Inside it, a single lotus petal, the symbol of the temple where she had learned to see. Then she walked away. Back at the temple, the monk waited at the gates. He said nothing when she returned, only smiled gently. That night, Elira wept, not out of pain but release. The hatred that once weighed her down had been let go. Like a bird freed from a cage she never realized she held the key to. The next morning she asked the monk, "Did I do the right thing?" "There is no right or wrong in karma," he replied, "only understanding." "Will he ever know it was me? Does it matter?" She shook her head. "Number, I think. I just needed to see him." "And what did you see?" Elira was quiet. Then she said, "I saw someone drowning, the same way I was, someone whose own darkness blinded him." The monk nodded. "Now you understand. Blindness has many forms." She smiled for the first time in days. "He's not evil, just broken. As we all are before we begin to mend." She sat beside the monk, hands resting in her lap, eyes closed but heart wide open. And for the first time she no longer felt blind. She felt awake. Seasons passed at the mountain temple. Leaves turned gold, then fell. Rains came and went. Elira remained, not as a guest, but as a quiet student of life. She had not regained her physical sight, but within her, something brighter than light had begun to bloom. Her steps were still careful, but no longer hesitant. She no longer walked in fear, but with purpose. She had forgiven her father, and more importantly, she had forgiven herself. Each morning she swept the temple courtyard. She could tell what kind of day it was by the way the wind moved the prayer flags, or how the birdsong changed with the mist. One afternoon a man arrived, riding on a grand horse, wrapped in silk, surrounded by servants, a wealthy merchant from the city. His name was Cassian. He had built temples, donated gold, prayed to every god his money could buy. But his face was tense, and his voice trembled as he approached the monk. "I have everything," he said, "and yet I feel nothing." The monk gestured to Elira. "Then speak to the one who sees." Cassian laughed bitterly. "Her? She cannot even see me." Elira stood calmly, hands folded. "No," she said softly, "but I can hear the weight in your voice. I can feel the fear you carry." Cassian's face twisted. "I fear nothing."
She smiled gently. "That's what frightens you the most, that even fear has stopped visiting you. You are numb." He clenched his fists. "What would you know about suffering?" She walked closer. "I once believed I was cursed, abandoned, blind, but the worst pain wasn't that I couldn't see. It was believing that no one else could see me." Cassian turned away. "You hide behind gold," she said, "but gold cannot warm a cold heart. Only compassion can." Cassian whispered, "Then teach me." So for a week the rich man stayed at the temple. He tried to meditate but grew frustrated. He tried silence, but it made him restless. One morning he shouted, "This is useless. I cannot find peace." Elira walked beside him and said, "Because you keep searching for peace as if it were a prize. Then what should I do?" "Stop searching," she said. "Start listening." He frowned. To what? To the life inside you, to the breath you've ignored, to the pain you keep decorating with distractions. Cassian fell silent. Later that day, the monk handed him a broom. "Sweep," he said. "A broom?" Cassian scoffed. "What does that teach?" "Clarity," the monk replied. "Each stroke clears not just dust, but delusion." So Cassian swept, day after day, and little by little he changed. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, he sat with Elira by the temple pond. "I used to think blindness was a curse," he said. "But now I see I was the blind one." Elira nodded. "We all are, until we choose to open the eyes of the heart." "Do you miss seeing?" he asked. She smiled. "Number. Because what I see now is enough." That night something unexpected happened. An old beggar arrived at the temple gates. Elira recognized the steps, the slight cough, the trembling hands. It was her father. She froze. He bowed low before the monk. "I don't seek shelter, only service. Let me sweep or clean. Let me do something, anything, just to be near this peace." The monk said, "Every hand is welcome, even those once clenched in anger." So the man stayed. Day after day he swept leaves, cleaned floors, lit incense. He never spoke to Elira directly, and she never revealed who she was. But one morning, as she passed by him near the courtyard, he whispered, "There's a girl I wronged long ago. I pray she's found peace. I don't deserve her forgiveness. But if I could speak to her, I'd say, I see now, even without my pride, and I would give my life just to make her feel whole." Elira stood still, tears rising. She didn't turn. She didn't speak, but she placed a lotus flower at the temple steps the next morning, right where he always swept. He wept. From that day on they sat together, never speaking of the past, just sharing quiet and sometimes laughter. People from nearby villages began to visit the temple, not for miracles but for something deeper. They came seeking what Elira had found, not sight but insight. One child asked her, "Sister Elira, were you always this wise?" She smiled. "Number I was once angry, bitter, lost, but someone taught me that true sight has nothing to do with eyes." "What does it come from?" the child asked. "From choosing love over pain," she said. "From learning to see others and letting yourself be seen." And that is how Elira became the heart of the temple. Though blind, she guided others through darkness. Though abandoned, she taught the meaning of connection. Though scarred, she showed what healing looks like. And as the petals of the Bodhi tree fell gently to the earth, people whispered her name in gratitude, not because she could see the world, but because she had taught the world how to see.